Charlotte feels familiar, predictable, like you kind of know where everything is headed. But here's the thing. Over the next decade, this city is going to reorganize itself. Not just grow, reorganize. There are several major projects either underway, approved, or actively moving forward that will quietly shift where value concentrates, where people gather, and which part of Charlotte matters most. And one of them might permanently stretch the skyline. Let's start where most people aren't paying any attention. Number 1, River District, a city forming in the background. If you think Charlotte's big growth already happened, what if I told you the largest undeveloped urban land in the city is just getting started? Tucked between the airport and the river sits over 1,000 acres being transformed into something entirely new. Homes, offices, retail, hotels, schools, hundreds of acres permanently preserved as green space. And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't being rushed. It's designed to unfold over decades. That changes the psychology of it. Because when something is built with a long runway, it isn't just reacting to demand, it's shaping it. And here's a subtle shift. This introduces Charlotte's first true riverfront public access community. So what happens when a part of town suddenly gains identity it never had before? Well, West Charlotte stops being peripheral. It becomes strategic. And that idea, shifting peripheral areas into strategic ones, is happening again north of the city. Number 2, Birkdale Village, expansion or evolution? Birkdale already works. It's walkable, it's active, it feels complete. So why expand it? Because growth pressure doesn't stop just because something feels finished. Plans are moving forward to add office space, a boutique hotel, residential units, structured parking, and infrastructure updates. But here's the tension. Charm is fragile. Density is permanent. So what happens when one of the most beloved lifestyle centers in the regional adds scale? Does it become stronger? Or does it start to feel like everything else? And here's the bigger layer. North Mecklenburg has historically sent workers south to uptown. What happens if that dynamic shifts? What if Lake Norman begins generating more of its own economy gravity? Now zoom out. Because while the North debates charm versus density, the South is doing something more dramatic. Number 3, Ballantyne, the suburb that refused to stay suburban. Ballantyne used to mean corporate offices and golf courses, but here's what's happening now. Main Street retail, concert amphitheater, public park space, and a residential tower rising above anything South Charlotte has seen before. And here's the thing, vertical changes perception. Once you build upward, the story changes. This isn't just adding amenities, it's redefining identity. Over time, the campus evolves into a true mixed-use district, residential, retail, office, entertainment layered together. So what happens when one of the city's most suburban corridors starts behaving urban? Well, the map shifts. And when the map shifts, so does the investments. But if Ballantyne is polished renovation, the next project is raw potential. Number 4, Iron District, the 55 acres that could redraw the core. There's a stretch of land between Uptown and South End that most people drove past for years without even thinking twice about it. It's industrial, quiet, closed off. Now imagine the land becomes housing, hotels, office, and retail, all stitched together under one long-term vision. Here's what makes it powerful. One owner, one coordinated plan. Room for the future transit connectivity. That's rare in urban development. And here's the bigger question. When you bridge Uptown and South End physically, do they remain separate neighborhoods or do they merge into one continuous core? Because over the next decades, this site doesn't just fill empty land. It could redefine where the center of Charlotte actually feels like it is. And while that core expands, another part of the city is rebuilding from scratch. Number 5, Eastland Yards, the comeback corridor. For years, East Charlotte watched development happen elsewhere. Anybody who grew up in Charlotte, and is probably around my age, you probably remember Eastland Mall. I used to go there all the time as a teenager. And people who know. Do you guys remember the ice skating rink? Actually, I don't know, one of the 2 or 3 times I've ever been ice skating in my entire life were at Eastland Mall. And I'm pretty sure both times was with this guy named Joey. Joey. If you've never been on an ice skating date, I recommend it. It's very romantic. I don't know if I'd attempt it now at my current age, but Eastland Mall used to be super fun for the teenagers and ice skating and activities. And so if you grew up here, you probably watched what happened to that mall too. It didn't just disappear overnight. It kind of had a slow fade. The old mall closed, land sat empty, momentum stalled. But here's what's different now. Homes are being built. Apartments are rising. Public park space is taking shape. A major sports complex is moving forward. Not flashy luxury, foundational infrastructure. And here's the thing about infrastructure. It changes perception before it changes pricing. Indoor courts, outdoor fields, mixed income housing, community retail. What if East Charlotte isn't just catching up, but quietly positioning itself for long-term stability? But when neglected land becomes active again, it resets that narrative. But narrative alone doesn't anchor a city. Anchors matter, which brings us to Uptown. Number 6, Bank of America Stadium, the anchor decision. There was speculation about replacement. Instead, the city doubled down. Major renovation, long-term commitments, expanded entertainment footprints, and here's what that signals: stability. When your primary event engine commits for decades, the surrounding districts gain certainty, and certainty drives confidence. New concourses, new gathering spaces, upgraded facilities. This isn't just about football or soccer. It's about economic gravity, because when the stadium thrives, Uptown thrives. And when Uptown thrives, the skyline pushes outward, which leads us to the final shift. Number 7, Queensbridge Collective, the skyline extension. There's a stretch along South Tryon where Uptown and South End blur. Now imagine 2 towers rising high enough to permanently connect those 2 identities visually: residential, office, street-level energy. Major corporate tenants already in place. Here's what makes this subtle but powerful. Height changes boundaries. Once buildings outside traditional Uptown pushes into the skyline territory, the psychological map expands. South End doesn't just feel adjacent anymore, it feels integrated. And over time, that integration becomes permanent. These projects aren't just adding buildings, they're changing how Charlotte works, where people gather, where businesses concentrate, and where the next wave of neighborhoods start forming. If you want a deeper breakdown on the pros and cons of living in Charlotte, watch my next video. If you're thinking about moving here and want to make sure you're choosing the right areas, reach out below. My team and I combine cutting-edge technology with personalized strategy to help you make the right move. If you don't want to guess, reach out below and let's talk. I'm Inga, your real estate bestie, and I will see ya in the next one. Bye.